What is up, guys? How we doing? I'm getting sick, and I think it's because of this weather. Been raining all damn week, and it's getting cold as shit. It was 80 degrees at the start of this week. Then it rained for a couple days. Now it's 40. It's supposed to get down to 20 tonight, and they're calling for snow in the morning. What? That is the most Missouri thing ever. Anyway, I'm not feeling very good. Thank you to those of you that watched the tip baiting video yesterday. I know it wasn't exactly the most fascinating video in the world, but I did do my best to kind of bite my tongue, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I know some of you like that I don't bite my tongue, but let's face it, Persephone's getting to the age where she's starting to copy everything that I say. So when it comes to language, I need to start watching it, which I've been trying to do and trying to think a little more. 3 months ago, I would have just sat down and I would have just cussed about the day and just went off. And I think kind of controlling that anger a little bit, doing several takes and not posting the first thing, right? Because if you look at my original videos, they're all like an hour long. They're no cuts, and me just posting the first thing, just sit down and post. And I'm trying to just put more thought into what I put out. But what's so irritating about the tip baiting experience is that the person that tip baited me was a very communicative customer. We had an actual conversation, and he seemed really nice and polite. And so it was just so out of left field to not only get tip baited, but to get a 1-star and reported for rudeness. And my whole point about it was I'm more mad at the company because the way DoorDash was is you can't tip bait, but you can lie. You know, you can lie and say you didn't get your food, and you can put in a 1-star just because you're having a bad day. That is the customer's right. But when they lie and say they didn't get their food, right, you can easily disprove that, and DoorDash would ban the customer, whatever, remove the whatever the hell they called it. What the hell was it called? When you got a I don't remember what the hell it was called, but you have to appeal. You get in trouble and you basically have to appeal it, and it was a really easy process. With Uber, with the tip baiting thing, it's messed up because a customer does have a right to give a 1-star for whatever reason they want. So because you're unable to differentiate who those customers are, on DoorDash you can. It's usually the no tipping customers, so that's why you don't accept those. But on Uber you can't. And when somebody gives you a 1-star for rudeness, you can disprove it and show in the conversation or whatever that you weren't rude, but Uber doesn't care. And so they kind of look at it as more of a stripe system. Like, if I were to go out today and I were to get a 1-star and a customer report me for being rude, I would probably get fired because now I would have 2 reports on me, even if they're untrue. And so just the system is flawed, and after putting in a good day's work and after having a nice, who I thought was nice customer, and then that happening, that was just a real buzzkill for me. I haven't gotten fired yet, but you know, we're taking the day off. Sundays are my day off. Sundays are incredibly bad in town, and yeah, so we're taking the day off, trying to clean up the house a little bit, and I'm not feeling very good. So, but now that I talked for 5 minutes already, that what I wanted to talk about today was music. I just watched Papa Meets Bret Michaels video, which was pretty hilarious. If you're the same age as me, you probably watched you probably watched that show when you were a teenager. I know I did. And New York, Flavor of Love, all those stupid ass reality shows, man. New York was the most obnoxious one. God damn, that woman was. Um, yeah, but he talked about music during it. He brought up Bullet for My Valentine and that his MySpace page, when you clicked on it, was fucking determined by Mudvayne. And thought I would, now that we got a little group here that actually watches my videos and is engaged and whatnot, thought I would try to give more information about myself and maybe get some out of you. So, like, get to know each other better. And so, what was your first concert? Have you ever been to a concert? I'm curious. And what is your music tastes? I've only talked about it in one video. I am a huge metalhead. My mom was not a metalhead at all. My mom liked John Mayer, Old Eminem, Fleetwood Mac, Dave Matthews Band. Such a weird mix of music. And my first concert was actually Dave Matthews. Shows my age a little bit there. And it was a free concert. I went to it. I think I was 8, and I believe it was in Memphis. And I got to watch my mom see one of her favorite bands. Was it a good show? I guess it wasn't really a great experience. It was 105 degrees, and we were packed in there in the general admission area like sardines, and there were people literally passing out from dehydration. And that was my first concert experience, was watching my mom and her friends get hammered and watch people almost die of dehydration while listening to music that I was, this is okay, I guess. But when I was younger, I really liked rap. I really liked old Eminem and old rap, old hip hop. And then my dad, who isn't my real dad, but I consider him my dad because he was married to my mother when I was born. He was a big Metallica guy. He used to play guitar and cover Metallica music. And Big Love by Fleetwood Mac, they just came out with a live concert CD like 2 months after I was born. And Big Love, the unplugged version of it on that live album, is amazing. It's amazing. It's better than the original version, studio version, or whatever. Like, it is so good. And my dad was trying to play that on guitar. And if you know the song that I'm talking about, that is a hell of a pick. That is a finger picking, like, it's such a beautiful song. And I just remember vaguely him being pissed because he could never get it because it's a hard fucking song, man. And remember, he used to play Fade to Black by Metallica a lot, which to this day is my favorite Metallica song. It's just so good. Lyrically. Anyway, so saw Dave Matthews, right? And then when I was 11, I went and saw Skillet. Dude, and I thought I was so hardcore at that Skillet concert. They put on a pretty good show. They just came out with the album that had The Last Night on it. I don't remember what the hell that album is called, but The Last Night's a decent song. And most of their popular songs actually were on this album, I would say. And saw Skillet. Started leaning more into the rock stuff, you know. Started kind of played Guitar Hero 3, which, you know, had Before I Forget on there by Slipknot, had My Curse by Killswitch Engage, Do What You Do by Mudvayne. So many good songs on Guitar Hero 3. And this was actually like my first time like kind of hearing rock. And then my dad, whenever I was like, at this point he wasn't in my life, but you know, we would talk and I was telling him that I was getting into rock, so he burnt me a bunch of CDs, and the first 5 CDs I ever owned was on a like little like Christmas thing that they did for poor families where like cops took you shopping and like gave you $100, and I bought a CD player and 5 CDs. As Daylight Dies by Killswitch Engage, The Way of the Fist by Five Finger Death Punch, Worlds Collide by Apocalyptica, Wonder What's Next by Chevelle, and shit. What was the fifth one? Boy, I don't remember, but I know there was 5. I'll have to think on that one for a minute. But because this was right around the time that The Bleeding was on the radio. A lot of people call Five Finger Death Punch, redneck metal, and to a degree, I agree with that. At least now, but their first 2 albums, I Will Die on the Hill, are some of the best rock albums of all time. And especially the first one. I think The Way of the Fist edges out War Is the Answer. White Knuckles, Meet the Monster. There are so many good tracks. And so Chevelle kind of like started introducing me to like the heavier rock, where I started hearing like screams for the first time, and then I started like diving into more like heavier stuff like Slipknot, and that's what it was. It was Volume 3 by Slipknot. That's what the 5th album was, and it was it or was it All Hope Is Gone? It was one of the 2. I think it was Volume 3, and yeah. So concert-wise, like, I grew up, with all these favorite bands were like Chevelle, Bullet for My Valentine, Mudvayne, Atreyu, Killswitch Engage, and The Used, and I was really going all out with it, and lo and behold, once I got to high school, I actually got to go see Chevelle, and I saw Dave Matthews for a second time, another free concert, and went and saw Chevelle. And Chevelle was the first concert I went to where I absolutely adored the band and knew all the songs of the band. Like, when I went and saw Skillet, I hadn't really listened to them much. It was a youth church group thing, that field trip, basically. And Chevelle was the first time I got to see a live band where I knew every song and just loved it to death. And it was such a great show, man. And I went with a buddy of mine and a coworker, and that friend of mine I was actually friends with in preschool, he actually passed away a few years ago from some just random accident. And I'm really glad I got to experience that with him before his passing. It was a good time. It was a show in Kansas City, and not at a super big place by any means, but Chevelle put on one hell of a show. My only complaint is Pete Loeffler does not scream as much live as he does on the CDs. But his screams are sharp and powerful, so I guess I can understand why. He's got a very high-pitched, hard-to-hit voice. And then I went and saw, 2 years ago, I took my ex-wife to all these concerts, man, because finally I was at the age where I could plan my own trips and do shit. So we went and saw Slipknot, we went and saw Metallica with Five Finger Death Punch, and we went and saw Mudvayne with Butcher Babies, Gwar, Non-Lethal, I think they're called. Non-point, that's what it is. And somebody else. The people that made Bullet with a name on it, isn't that I think that's Non-Point. There was somebody else there. There were 5 bands, and it was a Mudvayne reunion tour, and I never thought I would get the chance to see them, and fucking A, Mudvayne put on such a good show. But Slipknot has got to be the best concert that I've ever been to. It was in Springfield, too. Mudvayne and Metallica and Five Finger Death Punch, we had to travel to St. Louis, travel to Kansas City for. But Slipknot actually came to Springfield, which is only 45 minutes away, and it's a tiny town. I had Falling in Reverse tickets that were free, and we were gonna go see them, and Ronnie pulled out last second, and wasn't really a big bummer. I'm not a huge Falling in Reverse fan, and I saw Pierce the Veil. A buddy of mine had an extra ticket and went and saw them. I'm not a huge Pierce the Veil fan, but they had just dropped the album that had Dive In on it, and Dive In's actually not bad at all. But it was just a bunch of 14-year-old girls that didn't want to, that were too like, like that was the audience for Pierce the Veil. Wasn't the greatest concert I've ever been to, but Slipknot, dude, holy shit! Like seeing some of these bands from my childhood, if you watch the Music Saved My Life video, metal was like a really huge outlet for me. And I don't know if it's because I always felt like screaming or what, but it was just, I loved it. I fucking loved it. And it was like therapy for me. And these bands got me through really horrible times. And so to see like Mudvayne perform World So Cold, which is my favorite song by them, like, dude, I almost started crying. Not to be a baby back bitch, but like, I can't tell you how many nights, not to get emotional, but I can't tell you how many nights as a teenager, like, I was in dark, I was having dark thoughts, and those were the songs I would listen to, and now I'm getting to see it as an adult, and it just brought like a tear to my eye, And Sulfur by Slipknot. I just fucking love that song. I don't know why. I love the end of it so much. And see, they had such a good, like, they played all their best songs. Wait and Bleed, like, every good song. They even played, no, they didn't. They didn't play Eyeless. Eyeless is my favorite Slipknot song. If I was forced to pick, it would be between Eyeless and Sulfur, for sure. But probably Eyeless. Their first album is fucking, like, brutally heavy, comparing it to, like, their newer stuff. Their new album, their last album, I'm just gonna say it, is dog shit. I did not like it at all. If you did, great for you. But I did not. We Are Not Your Kind was phenomenal, and then Point Five was meh. That was their first meh album to me. A lot of people didn't like All Hope Is Gone, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, actually. Psychosocial's great, Dead Memory, like, all Snuff. A lot of popular songs off that album for a reason, and even the song All Hope Is Gone isn't that bad. It's kind of a cluttered mess, and it's got what's the name of it? Jim, the killing name is in parentheses. Jim. They said they would never play that song live because it was too hard. It was just too hard to do, which I could fully see. Phenomenal album. Slipknot's first 4 CDs, like, fucking great. I think their first 2 are better than 3 and 4, but still, I think 3 and 4 and the direction they were going was great. Oh, and I saw 21 Pilots in Memphis. Forgot. Holy shit, man. I keep forgetting, I guess, of everything I've... Yeah. I saw Skillet a second time in Memphis, too. 21 Pilots was a big one for me, because 21 Pilots I discovered when I was 18. And I had just gotten out of my relationship with my high school sweetheart. I heard Car Radio on the car radio, and Stressed Out, that album just came out. Blurry Face just came out, and bought that up and just fell in love with it. And when, I talked about my road to sobriety, where my family kind of fell apart and life was just falling apart after I hit 18, 21 Pilots was, if I wasn't listening to metal, I just absolutely adored their first 2 CDs. And when Trench came out, that's a pretty good CD too. Didn't really care for their last one, but seeing 21 Pilots live again was like, damn, another band that, like, got me through this emotional time, and now I'm getting to see them live, and it just, like, brings a tear to your eye, And Slipknot, seeing them, like, but what really got me, if I had to pick a favorite song out of all of them, it would be World So Cold by Mudvayne, because Chad went in. The thing I was worried about with Mudvayne reuniting was that, Chad, he's still been singing for Hell Yeah and whatnot, but Mudvayne is a lot harder, and they haven't been a band for like 15 years. So the question is, how are they going to sound? And he fucking nailed it. I figured they would keep it easy. Like, let's face it, all these artists are getting pretty damn old. And I didn't think he would do that good, and I was fucking wrong, man. Like, he brought out all the old songs, everything and nothing, like all like just off some of their first CDs. And but World So Cold, he gave a speech right before singing it that was just a super humbling speech. He was saying, look, you know, you're here tonight because you decided to take a moment for yourself. You know, the world out there, it's a fucking mess, and you decided that you were going to do something for yourself tonight and, you know, treat yourself. And just gave this big old speech about how, like, he loves that everybody is there, and, like, that metal brings us together, and that it was therapy for him too. Then sang World So Cold, which is just an extremely sad song. And it's one of those songs that ends with it fading, right? And so I was curious how they were going to end it live, and he just kept screaming "Living in a World So Cold" over and over again, and dude, I got goosebumps and almost fucking cried. That was probably the best. I think Slipknot put on a better concert, but I think Mudvayne, that particular song, was probably my favorite moment at a concert. Like, because the speech was moving, the song was great. He fucking killed it. Chad just killed it, dude. So did Corey. Corey was great. And yeah. I don't so the two that I really, or I guess three that I really want to see is Bullet for My Valentine, The Used, who's actually on tour right now. They're doing a 25th anniversary tour that is 3 shows, 3 days, and their first 3 albums. I have no idea how Brent, the lead singer, is going to cover the first 2 albums because he had to get vocal surgery, and his screams are fucking like oomph, you know? And so I could see why that would have happened. But God, I couldn't imagine a better show. Hell, a few years ago, Chevelle and The Used toured together, and I tried so hard to go to it because that would have been, I don't know who I would have been more excited for. But 3 days, 3 The Used albums, their first 3 albums, that would be so phenomenal to see. But I don't think Persephone is at the age yet where she would, like, she doesn't do good with loud noises, and it's at a plus, 21 venue anyway in Chicago, so it wouldn't matter. But that's as close as they're coming, and Chicago's like 6-8 hours away, something like that. I think like 6. And yeah, Bullet for My Valentine, they just dropped a new album that was horrendous. You can tell the lead singer, can't scream like he used to, and which, no shame. I mean, kudos to them for rocking out. Like, because all these bands that I love, they're all like in their 40s and 50s now. And so kudos to them for still trying. But I did not like Bullet's new album, but The Poison is one of the best albums of all time. I will stand by it. I can't believe Papa Meat kind of like hinted at he didn't like them. I like it. Hell, Papa Meats actually came out with a couple songs that were pretty good. It had like a Danzig mixed with Rob Zombie type vibe, So I don't know what his problem is against Bullet for My Valentine, but dude, their first couple CDs were awesome. But The Poison, one of the best CDs of all fucking time, front to back. And it cracks me up that he said he had Fucking Determined by Mudvayne on his MySpace page. Because I remember those days, man. My MySpace page, when you clicked on it, had Vitamin R by Chevelle. Because that album came out in 2004. And Vitamin R, man, is such a banger. And I thought it was cool. My background was all decked out like skulls and like Miami Ink shit. I wore Miami Ink shirts. I was that guy, dude. I was cool as fuck. I was super metal. And I don't know. I haven't really gotten into many newer bands, you know, like Falling in Reverse is okay. I like their breakdowns. I'm not a big Ronnie fan. Not really. I just don't really like his vocals. Putting his background and whatever aside, I just don't really like his voice. Like you know, Bad Girls Club. Like his voice is just I don't know how to explain it. It just gets on my nerves. And so I'm not a big Falling in Reverse guy, but I will admit that the breakdowns in some of their songs, specifically Guillotine 4, the final chapter, which I know is a continuous series from Escape the Fate, the breakdown in that song is so fucking cool. Their breakdowns are pretty great, but that doesn't really have a whole lot to do with Ronnie. um, Nothing more. They're contenders. I think Jenny is an amazing song. But really, I just haven't had any new bands catch my eye. Amity Affliction, they got some good ones. And yeah, that's it. I don't really like I Prevail. Bad Wolves are okay. Lions is a good song. Is that what that one's called? Yeah, they're all right. They're like I don't know. Like the newer bands just don't have that like grit to them like the early 2000s new metal era does. Am I explaining that well? There's so many different categories of metal. You know, you got death metal, fucking punk, alternative, emo, what the fuck ever. I don't know what you would brand my taste as. If I had to pick a top 3, you know, it would be Chevelle, The Used, Bullet for My Valentine. No, probably switch the well. That's tough. That's tough. Because the self-entitled and the second album by The Used are phenomenal. But Bullet for My Valentine, I think the Poison tops. I don't know. That's tough. That would be my top 3. Chevelle at the top for sure. I don't know what it is about Chevelle. I absolutely fucking love them. A lot of people compare them to Tool. I hate Tool, dude. I can't stand Tool. Deftones is okay. They get compared to them a lot too. Deftones, yeah, they're all right. What's the song? Shove It? Is that what it's called? That's a pretty damn good song. I haven't really, I guess, checked out a lot of their stuff, to be honest with you. I should probably actually go give that a go. And then, of course, you got your alternative bands like Godsmack and Shinedown and, you know, shit like that I enjoy. You can never go wrong with that. Don't like Breaking Benjamin. Breaking Benjamin was eh. So Cold is the only Breaking Benjamin song that I really like. Because it has to do with toxic relationships and shit. And, yeah, I kind of found, like, it's amazing how music has worked for me. I kind of think of my life with how I grew up. It's really hard to think about. Like, I lived with 13 different guys growing up, and a bulk of those were from ages 9 to 14. And it is really hard to remember my childhood. It all feels like a flash. And music, if it makes any sense, I'm able to measure where I was in life by the music I was listening to, by the band I was discovering at that time. Like Chevelle, I discovered when I was like 11, and then like 21 Pilots, I think of it as like 18 to 20 phase, and like I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's amazing how I've came across music when I needed it. And it music speaks to you on another level. Like, for example, the day before I got kicked out and Persephone got taken away from me, we watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and the credit scene, Am I Dreaming by Mega Boomin. I actually really enjoyed that song a lot. And then I got kicked out of my apartment for 2 weeks, and I played that song on repeat every day. And well, we'll talk more about that on the 12th. But that song, man, like, what are the odds that I discovered a song that so lyrically was paralleled to the shit that I was going through in my life, and even the tone of it, and, you know, I feel beaten, but I can't give up, and I just, like, needed a message like that during those 2 weeks, and I just had that, like, and music's always done that for me, like, when, it's always been therapy for me, you know, and I'm sure it's that way with a lot of people, not specifically just metal, but whatever genre you listen to. That's why I'm interested in hearing maybe what your first concert was, or what bands you've grown to like, or what, you know, music you're into, because I gotta say, man, a lot of today's music, at least in my opinion, is kind of garbage. There's not a whole lot of new metal bands that I've grown to like too much, and hip hop seems like it's going downhill. Rap's kind of, I'm more into older rap. I really like Eminem, and I know it's like, dude, yes, of course you like the white rapper, but like, our lives are insanely similar. Like, insanely similar. No dad, took off before we was born. Drugged up mom, doing pills and giving them to you. Protecting your sister and basically, you know, being the parent. And growing up poor, working jobs you hate. Rock Bottom by Eminem is one of my favorite songs ever. And older Eminem, man, like, really spoke to me, because I swear to God, we've lived the same exact lives. And he found his outlet, which was music, and abused the same drugs, and like the way he describes his mom. And I love seeing old Eminem, and then now, you know, like, you a lot of people give him shit, but I think Eminem is one of those awesome success stories that, like, he started off making music that was really angry, violent, really, you could say sexist, but it was an outlet. It wasn't that he was ever sexist or this violent person. It was just an outlet, and he made damn good music. And then throughout his life, you know, got sober and started realizing that some of the songs he made directed towards his mother were shitty, and realizing, you know, so that new Abracadabra song, while I don't really like it, I like the metaphor that it stands for, that he's trying to put his younger self to. I think Eminem is a badass success story. From fucking rags to riches, getting sober, and, you know, now even trying to see his mom in a different light, and being a badass father to his little girls. And our life super paralleled. So, like, Eminem was probably the first artist that I ever actually liked, like, growing up, because that's what my mom would listen to a lot. It was such a weird thing to go from Dave Matthews to Fleetwood Mac to Kill You by Eminem. But that was my mom, and then she's over here rapping every sentence, and it's like, Mom, like he's talking about chopping bitches up in the woods. Anyway, yeah, so that's my random video for you today, just talking about music. Just, I don't know, letting you know more about myself. Feel free to comment below what your music tastes are, and what you listen to today. If you know of any new metal bands that might fit the category of what I'm, you know, explaining here, throw me some suggestions, because I basically listen to the same shit now that I did when I was 14, you know? Like, but my progression of metal, like, you know, I found, like, alternative, like, 3 Days Grace and Shinedown, Godsmack, and then Chevelle was like that bridge where you got a little bit heavier, you got some screams in there, and then discovered, like, Slipknot, Killswitch, Five Finger. Oh yeah, by the way, Five Finger Death Punch put on one of the worst performances I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if Ivan was just having an off day, but he could not hit his notes for shit. And, dude, it was Ice Nine Kills, Five Finger Death Punch, and Metallica. And it was a 2-day show. And if you got the second day, I think it was Ice Nine Kills, Five Finger Death Punch, and Pantera. I could be wrong. I was really wanting to see the Pantera one too, but Five Finger Death Punch was just like a mood killer, dude. Like, they did not sound good. Not to mention, he didn't play any of the songs from his first 2 albums except The Bleeding, and he sounded like shit when he was trying to scream the chorus, which is probably why he didn't try. Look, I'm not giving them shit, okay? They're getting old, you know. Screaming is hard. Like, I love to sing and scream and try it, and like, it's hard, but my God, he sounded awful that night. I wish I got it on recording. He did, what's that fucking song, man? It was on Righteous Side of Heaven. See, they started going downhill album 3 to me. American Capitalist, I like the song and 100 Ways to Hate. But those were the only 2 songs I liked off that CD. And then from then on, I just did not really care for their shit. But the first album is amazing. I will die on that hill. The second album was just as good, if not better to some people. To me, wasn't quite as good, but still a badass album that you could listen to front to back. And then, but God, live, so seeing them live was a big one for me. Like, Metallica was a childhood dream to see because my dad, you know, watched or played them growing up. So that was like a childhood dream come true. But Five Finger Death Punch was one of the first heavy metal bands that I got into that was like constant screaming and shit. So, you know, I heard The Bleeding on the radio, loved the song so much that I bought The Way of the Fist based off that song. And yeah, they were not very good live. But like, I think it was something about like he recently got sober and shit, and so like a lot of people were blaming it on that because alcohol does loosen the vocal cords, but I am not ever going to shit on somebody's sobriety. If you have to pick one, sound a little bit shittier and be sober, or be a full-blown alcoholic and sound a little bit better, I would definitely encourage the sober route. So props to Ivan Moody for that. I don't know if he's still sober, but when I saw him, supposedly he was, and maybe that's why he didn't sound good. I don't know. The fact that they didn't even touch any, like, old songs kind of tells you that he probably can't scream like that anymore. Which, again, like, if you listen to the first album, I could see why. That White Knuckles, dude, probably my favorite Five Finger Death Punch song. I fucking love that song. Meet the Monster is good as well. But I can understand why they're referred to as redneck metal. Which is such like a insulting, like, but whatever. Unfortunately, it's not wrong. A lot of rednecks that I've seen that like metal are like, yeah, Godsmack and Five Finger Death Punch, and it's like, okay, what's your favorite album? Yeah, Righteous Side of Heaven, or Wrong Side of Heaven, Righteous Side of Hell. I'm like, yeah, the album's okay, I guess. I like their first 2 albums, and they don't get talked about a lot, so. This fucking A, dude. I talk too much. I'm sorry. I was just trying to share my musical tastes and how they've evolved over the years. Basically, Eminem is the first artist that I got into. And then really dug rap, you know, like Ride Dirty came out around then. You had just like older hip hop in general, and yeah, like late 90s, early 2000s hip hop was where my musical tastes were like as a kid. But then once, I started like discovering rock, I was like, holy shit, man, like I like this, and started getting harder and harder with it. And then at a certain point just stopped discovering new music, and that kind of sucks, because yeah, I don't there is no band that I look at today and I'm like, yeah, that I like them just as much as the bands that I've mentioned. Like Nothing More has got Jenny is a great song. Uh, but like listening to an entire album, I wouldn't say that I like them as much as any other previous bands, or I don't know, you know? Like every metal band now is like so kind of the same. You got like 5 members, you got one that's a screamer, one that's a singer, and it's a fucking screaming verses with melodic choruses and a breakdown. And it seems like we're the higher pitched, like the newer they are, the higher pitched they are, which the Used, Brent, he's pretty high pitched, but like Sleeping with Sirens, when I was in high school, I got my sister into rock actually. And I'm not making fun of her for listening to Sleeping with Sirens. I love that I got her into metal and that she listens to that. But the first time I heard Sleeping with Sirens, I legitimately thought that was a girl. And I was like, who is she? And she's like, that's a guy. I'm like, what? How do you sing that high? I could, like, before my lungs got decimated, I used to love to try to sing. I just don't have the breath to do it anymore. Anybody can be a good singer if you train yourself enough, and that's the thing about metal that's great too. You can just fucking scream along to it. And like I said, so many nights, I don't want to get too depressing, but so many nights, I just had horrible nights that I didn't want to be here anymore, and this music helped me get through it. So to see some of those artists live were extremely moving to me. It's like, dude, you fucking helped me, and I think that's awesome that music can do that for people. So music is a huge part of my life. I wish I was more into newer bands, but at the same time, I don't really have a lot of time to look for newer bands. And every band that I've named off is still coming out with albums. Like the Used just dropped a new album. I didn't really care for it. People Are Vomit is okay. That was a single off of it. Bullet for My Valentine just dropped a new CD. Didn't care for it. Atreyu just dropped a new CD. Didn't care for it. I give them props for trying, but yeah. That's the video today, guys. Just a 45-minute rant about my musical tastes, even though I've already made a 30-minute video about it, kind of, sort of. I didn't talk about really the concerts that I went to. So what's your favorite concert? If you're still here, hi, thank you for watching the whole thing. What was your favorite concert? What was your first concert? Have you been to a concert? What are your musical tastes? If you're a metalhead, what are some suggestions that you'd have for me that are newer? And if you're not a metalhead, what genre are you into? And has music helped you, as much as it has helped me? And I think that's the beautiful thing is, all these different genres help. Like Taylor Swift speaks to, some women the same way metal spoke to me. And that's beautiful. That's what's beautiful about music is no matter what the genre, somebody, gets something good out of it. And then there's those bands like Foster the People and fuck me, dude. The people that made Sweater Weather. God damn it, I can't remember their name. And Wired. That brand and the what the hell is the name of that song? Manchester Orchestra United, something like that. Oh, Our Last Night. They're newer and they're not bad, but they do mostly covers. They don't do a lot of their they don't do a lot of original stuff. Hold on, I'm not trying to lose you here. Oh yeah, Rammstein. I can't believe I forgot to talk about them. Rammstein's pretty good. Seether, another damn good band. I think it's like Manchester United, something like that. A long orchestra, Manchester Orchestra, something, and they have a song called "The Gold," and that's a beautiful song, and that genre is not too bad either. But I wouldn't really call that. What would you call that? Like indie rock? Whatever. This is going on too long, so love you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.